established in the late 1980s, now home to 83 households, approximately 200 people, assorted domestic animals, and a growing population of native wildlife. It is a place where agricultural land and environmental assets are being preserved. It was the world's first village to be designed according to permaculture landscape principles. Permaculture works with nature to produce a more sustainable environment and productive agriculture. An eco-village is an ecological settlement where business, agriculture and human activity are designed to integrate with the natural surroundings. We are proud that the groundwork of the designers and the follow-up by residents led to the Crystal Waters Village being acknowledged by the United Nations and Building and Social Housing Federation for pioneering work in demonstrating new ways of low-impact, sustainable living. The ethical basis we aspire to involves caring for the earth, care of people, and dispersal of excess. The diverse microclimates created by the landscape have resulted in growing conditions for a surprisingly large variety of fruits and vegetables. Privately owned land takes up 14% of the total property, while the community cooperative controls 6%, set aside for business ventures and a visitors' accommodation area. Common land for agriculture, grazing, forestry, wildlife habitat and dams is managed by the body corporate and makes up the remaining 80%. For example, the rich river flats have been set aside for agricultural use, while also acting as a valuable buffer between human settlement and the riparian zones along the river and creeks. Other information, such as the lay of the land, existing forests, and movement of water, influence the design. This process clearly defined the areas remaining for housing lots, which were sited on the sides of ridges, between which dams have been constructed, all linked by roads that, where possible, follow the natural contours of the landscape. The distance from the village centre to the extremities of the property, combined with the undulating nature of the countryside, ensure that the car is relied upon heavily. Despite this, many enjoy walking and cycling. Carpooling is a regular feature of our way of life. Household lots were selected according to certain additional criteria. Some of these include northerly aspect for solar advantages, slope of the block for drainage, ease of access, suitability for building, and size and shape to maximise the use for structures and gardens. A number of other landscape design features are evident when travelling around the property. Telephone, reticulated water, and most of the power were placed in common underground trenches to reduce the impact to the land and lower development costs. Water management is a major focus for our village, and we take this responsibility seriously. Dam spillways are incorporated into the road system, and the road-based construction material came from within our property. The dams are important for climate control, recreational uses, agriculture, and increasingly for bird life and native animals generally, where each household is allocated up to 1,000 litres per day. Water at mains pressure is provided through a gravity-fed system from water storage tanks high in the hills. Some residents operate businesses at Crystal Waters, while others work away. These businesses include eco-design consultancy, building construction, gardening supplies, organic food, health and healing, and educational services. Crystal Waters also boasts fledgling enterprises, which include the Village Organic Farm, incorporating a seasonal biodynamic dairy, and a wood-fired oven bakery, which makes a wonderful range of healthy breads and pizzas. Cooperative facilities have the function of bringing together people from the wider community, and many community activities such as working bees, for the construction of numerous cob ovens. Many residents are actively involved in our community life. There are a wide variety of dwellings, ranging from rustic cabins to substantial houses. Residential lots have been positioned in small groups or clusters in order to encourage neighbours to work and play together, work on community buildings, and the development of extensive walking tracks about the property. Timber, whole frame, brick, mud, straw bale, and rammed earth are all used, often with passive solar designs. Within the framework of the Council Building Code, most home builders have employed some level of innovative and imaginative design, chosen recycled or sustainable building materials, and utilised non-mainstream construction techniques. Several houses use renewable energy, such as solar energy for electricity, and many have solar hot water systems. A wide variety of domestic water treatment systems are used throughout the property, including wet and dry composting toilets. Many residents have designed their gardens using permaculture principles. A typical design includes the concept of zones. Starting at the house, we have herbs and picking greens. We then move to the vegetable patch, where we grow using organic principles. Crop rotation, non-hybrid seeds, companion planting and natural fertilisers. Animal and fowl integration often occurs in the orchard zone, situated a little further from the house because it is less frequently visited. Many orchards and vegetable gardens supplement the residents' food supply, and what could be nicer than organically grown fresh produce on the dinner table? The most significant change which has occurred at Crystal Waters in the transformation from farmland to the present has been the tens of thousands of new trees which now cover much of the former cleared land, natural regrowth due to exclusion of grazing animals, and the planting of woodlots has greened Crystal Waters. Trees are being grown to supply future needs for food, firewood, cabinet and construction timbers. The careful design and management of the property has resulted in Crystal Waters becoming a sanctuary for birds, animals and people. Many Crystal Waters residents are passionate about their trees. The replanting of the habitat and the many new dams provides forage and a safe place to live. Thus, the native wildlife is abundant.
A growing number of people are looking for new ways to live more eco-friendly lives, and many are finding eco-villages as a solution.
Small settlements can provide healthy lifestyle, where we can maintain clean air and water, and where food production is not so separate from the consumption. While walking about the property, your senses will be activated by the many songs from the birds. Many people find their spiritual freedom expressed through this connection to the land and offer some inspiration and act as a catalyst for change.
There are eco-villages all over the world. There are eco-villages on every continent, and each one of them is very unique. So they range from just a handful of people to some eco-villages that are 2,000 people. The sun helps to heat the house, and it provides probably about 30% of the heat for the house. We just put in a 50 kilowatt solar system, which is enough to provide 60% of the electricity for all 30 homes in our neighborhood.
You need pioneers that build good examples and other people can come out and kick the tires.
We have a wonderful grant from the Environmental Protection Agency to educate people, especially developers, architects, planners, and the general public about how to create these kinds of sustainable communities and looking at best practices. We're planning to eventually build an eco-village education center here.
One aspect is the combination of conservation and living in a more sustainable way. There's the other process of co-housing and intentional neighborliness.
We need to sell a certain number of the homes in order to break ground.
Similar to a condo association, residents buy shares of the common property and pay monthly fees for maintaining the buildings and the land.
One of the things we don't do is we don't have combined finances. I mean, everybody still has their own individual living space and their own individual finances.
We also have a common house. We eat meals together frequently in the evenings.
An eco-village at Ithaca works closely with the local town government to develop and maintain the village.
It's often hard to get the right zoning for this kind of project. We actually wrote our own zoning code, and it allows us to set aside some land as agricultural, some land as natural areas.
People still need to earn a living. They have families, children to raise, and also a commitment to the development of Eco Village.
So we've tried to design the facilities so that they really promote the maximum amount of cultural diversity. And one of our objectives is to keep the house prices competitive with local market house prices. It's really like creating the old-fashioned neighborhood in a new way. We learn a lot by looking at the past. In today's global society, I mean, we all need our cell phones and our computers, but we can be self-reliant when it comes to things like energy and water, to a certain extent food.
We are planning to build 40 houses and a new common house. It is designed for people of all ability levels to live there. So if somebody's in a wheelchair, they could comfortably live in one of these homes. We are designing many of the houses to a very rigorous green building standard. It's called Passive House. These homes use 90% less energy to heat than a typical home. We're setting aside 90% of the land as open space and only building on a very small part of the land.